Yo, what's going on, world? It's your homeboy Cuff with the BrainSurfin podcast, and I'm back with another one. Now, today's episode, traditional is no longer tradition, is made because of a lot of posts that I see on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, all this social media, TikTok shit. And a lot of women feel like men complain about how they want a traditional woman, but how do I say it? Okay, they're basically saying, how could a man want a traditional woman who cooks and cleans, but men no longer pay all the bills? And I feel like a lot of things in life is situational at the end of the day, right? So the further you go back in time, the less help. And when I say help, I want to clarify that I'm talking about financially. You know what I mean? Which financial isn't always the best help. It isn't always the only help. It isn't, it's not always the best help to get. You know what I'm saying? Like you might have your financial in order. So that might not be what you need, the type of assistance you need out of your partner, the type of help you need out of your partner, the type of back and forth you need from your partner, right? But the further you go back into time, the less women were able to bring in money. You know what I mean? And with that being said, what if you have no money but you're in a relationship, how can you bring value to that relationship? Well, obviously, you can have kids, something that a man can't do. While the man's out working all day, he probably don't want to come home cleaning. So you could, keep the house clean, and then you could cook when he come home from work and wherever it may be. He got hot meals. There was nothing more. There wasn't much more for women to do back in the day. So it's like, of course they were okay with that. You know what I mean? Like everyone needs something to do at the end of the day. Like think about when you say if you ever had surgery, you just had to miss work for a while, and it was some surgery where you're basically like stuck to your bed. You're kind of getting taken care of. You know what I'm saying? Like whether you got your bills paid for the next few months, whatever. While you're sitting there, you're not working, you're not doing anything. As time goes on, you get bored. Now imagine doing that year after year after year. That's in today's society. Is men, women, we both would get bored just sitting home all day, and we got all type of Netflix and all kind of shit to keep us entertained, but we still be bored as fuck, right? So imagine back in those days. So of course, if it's situational, the women had really no choice but to do those things. And obviously, I would assume they had no problem doing those things. But I said it because that was life as they knew it. And, everyone wants to be looked at as valuable in anything that they're into. You want to know that you have some sort of value. So if you're with a man and you can't help him financially and you see how he's struggling to keep food on the table, so forth and so on, or y'all just getting by, you want to bring something to the table. And if you can't bring something to the table financially, you got to just think about it. Back in those times, it only makes sense for you to keep the house clean, laundry. You're the main person that deal with the kids, make sure the house clean, dishes, and laundry, like I said, and hot meals and all of that. Excuse me. I really feel like women were so on that back then because that's the only role that they knew. And honestly, not only that, but it was like I said earlier on in the episode, they couldn't bring in money to help financially, so they had to find value in other ways, and that's why they were okay doing that. Now, as time went on, okay, well, no, and well, also, what women have to understand is marriages also lasted longer back then because of this same exact reason. Once again, think about it. If me and you are married, you have no income. Your lifestyle is tied to being married, basically. Like you stay with your parents until some man wants to be with you and he wants to marry you and y'all move out, get a spot together, and then you are in the house taking care of the kids and cleaning, so forth and so on, but you don't have that income, right? So marriages lasted longer because yeah, we all know about grandpas and stuff, have families across town and all that crazy shit like that, right? But the reason why those women didn't leave Because men also be quick to be like, yeah, well, women back then also didn't leave. They dealt with all kind of stuff. The main reason they didn't leave, and I'm way too young to know this for a fact, but it only makes sense to me. The main reason why they did not leave is because they knew for a fact the grass was not green on the other side. They couldn't go back home to mom because mom's like, girl, make that marriage work, make that marriage last. Life, our lives and livelihood is kind of tied to being married, having a family. Like that was kind of what women did back in those days. And if you weren't doing, and a divorce women back in those days are looked at like as dirt. A woman who has been through a divorce, what? She probably won't get married again until times change. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy out there. So grandpa was when these men these days when we talk about how women didn't leave for little this or little that. Hey, well look, they didn't leave for more serious shit also, whether it was mental, emotional, or physical abuse, whether it was men cheating, whatever it may have been. Women stayed and dealt with all of that because once you were married and had that family, it's like that was like your duty to be a wife and raise the kids. So it kind of go both ways, you know what I'm saying? Women did more of the traditional things that men want these days back then, but it was circumstantial. Women also didn't leave as much, but that was circumstantial. When it comes to men cheating, though, this has been going on from the beginning of time. This is not nothing new at all. This is nothing new at all. Like not the slightest. Now I spoke about cheating a little bit, right? But I want to kind of broaden the conversation to just as far as like to kind of keep going, a little bit more about how marriages lasted longer back then than they do now, so forth and so on, right? Now, I've talked to because I like to be aware of things like this. Like, nobody wants to die alone at the end of the day. So when you make a decision with a relationship, everything, just remember you don't want to die alone. I'm not saying accept any old body and just deal with any old thing, but none of us want to die alone, right? So I talked to a lot of couples that have been together for 20, 30, 40 years. It's a thing for me. If I see an old couple together, random as hell, like I'm not all that comfortable with it, but if the opportunity comes to where, it's a little eye contact and they look like I can ask them something like this, I always want to know if they felt like they had to be strong through a good amount of physical, emotional, and or mental abuse in order to get to the place they are now. Now, between mental, physical, and emotional abuse, the majority of those couples had to deal with at least two. Or let me change that. Whether it's mental, physical, or emotional abuse, or if it's mental, physical, or emotional hurt, pain, right? Have they had to deal with those things to get to the point they are today, the 20, 30, 40 year mark? And they all say yeah. Not they're saying yeah as far as they had to deal with at least two of the three, if not all three, right? Now with couples that I know, like no been together for a long time, like I can have a little more in depth conversations with them, and they let it be known, like they a majority of them they've dealt with all three. Like sad to say because I don't think anyone should ever have to deal with any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But we all do in ways, in different shapes, ways and forms, from our childhood to our young adulthood, up until when we get into the real world, 18, 21, 25, whatever it may be, and then in our relationships, men and or women we date through our life. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna deal with some sort of mental, emotional, and physical pain or hurt, right? Now, with that being said, first of all, I feel we gotta get on the same page. We have to really agree and understand that this is a real thing. Before I move on to my next point, this is a real thing. Anyone that you plan to be with for your life, you're going to deal with some mental, physical, and or emotional things that you rather not deal with, right? There are situations where I feel that get up if dude put his hands on you, he's super mentally abusive, stuff like that, you gotta get up out of there. You get like it's no well, we're still young. Not it's certain stuff, you know what I'm saying? But in the same sense, there's things like just for me, like cheating, right? If the only thing that is wrong with your man is that every so often he steps out on you. I honestly don't feel like you should leave that. Not gonna lie. I really just I don't feel it because once he stops cheating, well, first of all, the way I view sex is like a there's not always that emotional connect. Me personally, I'd rather have that emotional connect before I'm just fucking on any and everybody, and I done did it without that emotional connect. But I'd rather have that. Um, but for a lot of people, like for real, like sex is just sex. There's nothing emotional to it, especially for a lot of men. For women, it's harder for me to speak on that. We all know some hoes that just get it in and do what they do. For them, I would say it's just, it's nothing emotional at all. But in general, sex is just sex. It's not such an emotional thing. So a man could be crazy in love with you and still cheat on you. So I don't think that's the reason to leave him. Now, the way he's cheating could be a reason to leave him, though. Like he fucking family members, he hitting your friends, he ruthless with it, he just letting it be known to everybody, just straight disrespectful. Now I think that's just flat out crazy. But the majority of men do want to be with one main girl and every so often at least go, tap on something else. You feel me? But yeah, for with these things being said, and just us knowing that we're going to have to deal with some mental, physical, and or emotional pain, hurt, abuse, whatever it may be, to get to the point where we see our long-lasting grandpas and grandmas relationships getting to. We know we gotta deal with all of that before we get to that point. So why is it so hard for us to deal with? You know what I mean? Like if I commit a murder and beforehand I know the consequences, I'm not gonna do that murder if I don't feel I can deal with the consequences. You feel me? I wouldn't be out here, trying to have long term relationship with people and be serious with people if I know that at the first sign of cheating, I'm gone. Nah, I'd rather have situational ships and stuff, situationships, how do you say that, and stuff like that going on rather than being committed to a person just to, get my heart broke. It just be all fucked about here. And I'm speaking more on behalf of women because I feel like, at the end of the day, men probably deal with that a little bit better as far as I think in general, we view sex as an activity. It's just a thing. Like it's not as emotional based. But to sum it up, I'll just say this. For anyone who wants to be married in their future, I think this is a conversation that you should have with your significant other. I feel like this is an episode you could play for your significant other and see how they feel about it. I honestly feel I have multiple episodes that you could play for your significant other, and the way they respond to it, body language wise, not all what they say, but more body language wise and little things they mumble while I'm talking on the episode. You feel me? By those things right there, I feel like you can sum it up whether or not that person is worth your time. But once again, it's your homeboy Cuff. Thanks for catching these waves. I'm out. Hey yo, what's going on, world? It's your homeboy Cuff with the BrainSurfin podcast, and I'm back with another one. So today we're gonna hop right in, right? And what I wanted to talk about was the whole Jonathan Major situation. So at first I was gonna come in here and just more talk about how like shit like this just keeps coming up and how a lot of these actors be weirdos and entertainers be weirdos, right? So I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if it come out that he did the shit that we all heard about, right? But more details came out from what I was told, and text messages got shown. And long story short, this is not what we thought it was. Now, I should have had the text messages here on screen so I can actually read them off to y'all. But just to kind of sum it up, it sounds like she said something about how she was trying to grab his phone, go through his phone, and how her bruises are her fault, not his. Like she's trying to be accountable for something that he did, right? Now, through everything that was said in those text messages, honestly, it sounds like some cover up type shit. It really seems like, well, okay, check me out. She knew he was in jail, right? Why was she texting his phone saying those things while he was in jail? It makes no sense. Like, you know he won't see him. But you do know at some point that those messages will be seen by the courts or whoever it may be. And with that being said, I'm just saying it would be smart for you to send those type of messages to be like, for him to be like, oh, it's clear right here. Like, look, even if she's saying herself, you know. But my thing is, you got marks around your neck and all of that. Like, well, how was he trying to give you CPR? like, like, nah, for real. Like, I understand. Like, they really can't lie their way out of this one. At the end of the day, something happened, right? And what I think it is, there's so much money behind this guy right now, and they probably got the next 3 to 5 Marvel action movies paid out for his character and for him to do what he's doing. And with that being said, I just feel like that's why these little bogus messages coming out, text messages that just shows her texting him while he was locked up. So for me, it has no validity to it. I really can't accept that. I'm all for my black people and everything, but wrong is wrong, and I'm with right more than anything else. You understand me? So if some shit looks shaky, I don't care if I rock with you or not. And I'm being honest with you, I'm not a big fan of him. You know what I mean? The movies I've seen him in, they pretty good. I haven't seen Creed 3 yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not eager to see this shit neither, or the Creed 4. Whatever, man, but obviously I don't be keeping up with that shit because I don't know what the fuck the last number that came out, right? But my whole point is, a lot of these entertainers do be creepy and do a lot of weird stuff. Now, I also kind of feel like this is more. I don't know if this is an entertainer thing, a wealthy man thing, or if this is a man thing. Period. Like a lot of men might be just this creepy, but they, maybe they've done little things. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say this. 'Cause I'm using the word creepy, but let me erase that because he didn't. For what I know, he didn't do anything creepy. That was my way of just saying how a lot of these entertainers and celebrities are just a little different. But my thing I really wonder is this a man thing that just comes out more when you're wealthy and you feel like you can't be touched? And I don't say that because I have these kind of urges or I feel like, I want to do some crazy shit or, I want to be some kind of stalker or I want to choke some girl out. No, I'm not saying, let me like this blunt right there. Not for 1 second am I saying that I've had any type of urges that I would consider weird or unorthodox. But what I'm saying is there's so many men who end up doing, at the least getting accused of these type of things, and that could be because, women just see their position and they want to try to eat off these men. But in the same sense, there's a lot of guys that we know of that have actually done things like this. And, this is more violent, physical type harm. We know a lot of guys who've done a lot of creepy shit. You know what I'm saying? And like, I just really wonder, like, is this is a kind of a common thing for men, and it just comes out more the more comfortable and wealthy you are. And there's broke men that do it too. Obviously, we've heard plenty of stories, or well, obviously we don't hear them as much because it's like it's a little more underground, just because the people, like the accusers aren't popular, and the people that they are accusing aren't popular, rich, or famous. So that makes it a little bit different. But I really want to pose this question though, like for all the women out there, like, do you guys feel like men being creepy or overly aggressive is a common thing, or does it come more with men who have some sort of power, some sort of position of power, popularity, or wealth? Like, share, comment the BrainSurfin podcast on all podcast listening platforms, including YouTube. Come catch these waves.